Hello, this is Ray from DCRainmaker.com. Today we've got Garmin's new Forerunner 225 watch. This is Garmin's first wearable device that has optical heart rate within the wrist itself. So it's basically just underneath the watch there inside, and I'll go ahead and measure your heart rate as you're working out. For my run today, I'm just going to do a simple 5K run. I'll go ahead and I'll show you video a couple times through it, both on the heart rate recognition as well as the instant pace. To go ahead and get started, I'm going to press the red button there. Now unlock it. Sorry, just only have two hands here. So you'll see it'll go ahead and find GPS. It finds it pretty quickly, though I had turned it on fairly nearby, so it doesn't take too long there. The unit does have GPS-based elevation, so very similar to the Forerunner 220 does. You'll see it's jumping around a little bit right now, which is somewhat normal while it finds that initial elevation locks. That you might want to give it just a tiny bit extra time to go ahead and smooth out. You'll see it's kind of smoothing out there. Now I'll go ahead and I'll change the screen to show my heart rate there. So you see it's automatically found my heart rate. It's at 85 beats per minute right now here standing talking to you. And then as I run, it'll go ahead and obviously fluctuate based on my running intensity. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll catch up with you midway through the run. Okay, we're just gonna do a quick check here on the heart rate between the two units. On the left-hand side, I've got the Forerunner 220 paired to a Garmin chest strap. On the right-hand side, I've got the Forerunner 225 with optical heart rate inside. So you can see they're pretty close there. I'm usually seeing them within a beat or two. When I stop or speed up quickly, I might get a couple more beats separation, but it seems to catch up pretty quickly. So I'll go ahead and I'll find a spot to do an interval to and go from there. Okay, so I've got the 225 on the right hand side there with the gauge view instead. Going ahead and pick up the pace right now. Do a bit of a sprint across this bridge here. I'm doing probably about a 5:45 mile pace. So you can see it's catching up pretty quick. A couple seconds of lag, but not too bad. Go ahead and stop. Heart rate goes back down. See, it's trailing, but no more than, let's say, 2 to 4 seconds back, which is acceptable for most people, I'd guess. And that's the heart rate strap on the left-hand side. There's been a bit finicky today's run. So I'll get going again, and I'll catch up with you back at the finish. Okay, just finished up the run there, about 3.58 miles all in. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead inside and we'll look at the activity file on Garmin Connect, and we'll compare the heart rate as well and see how things are shaking up. Let's head on inside.
Okay, now that we're inside, we'll take a look at the actual activity file on Garmin Connect. That's their online website. The watch will sync with that via either the Garmin Connect mobile application on your phone or the Garmin Express application on the desktop if you were to go ahead and plug it in via USB. What you see here in the top is the map. You can change a different view, for example, from satellite to map view or terrain view. In this case, I've got satellite view just because it makes it a bit easier to see. The track itself looks reasonably good. I'll take a look at that in a second and show you that compared to the other watch as well. On the right hand side here we have my average pace, distance, those are all about where I expect them to be. Calories is in the right general ballpark there, maybe a touch bit high but not too bad. Usually if you assume 100 calories per mile, then maybe a bit high, but I'm not worried at the moment about that. We have elevation here. This is being overridden by elevation correction because it came from GPS, so just keep that in mind. And then the heart rate data right here. So you see the build of the heart rate. I kind of stabilize out, keep it relatively constant throughout this process, and then I do a little bit of increase there, and I just paused briefly at a stoplight, and then I kept on going again. And then here is the interval right there that I did on that you saw on the camera, where I increased that up. And then I just recovered right there, and then went ahead and just finished up my run. So down at the bottom of the page, you'll see the various metrics about it. For example, the average heart rate, elevation data, cadence, which comes from the internal accelerometer in the unit itself, so you do not need a foot pod for that. So next I'm going to go to the My GPS Files site. So this is the free website that you can use. You can drag and drop different workout files into it, and it'll go ahead and overlay them together. So first we'll look at the GPS accuracy. What I've got here is both the Forerunner 220 as well as the 225. And so what you see is that the track between the two is relatively constant. The 225 is the one in blue, and the 220, the older unit, in orange. The only issue I really see here is that this little section of the park. In this case, the newer Forerunner 225 nailed it. I went right down this path right there, whereas the 220 seemed to get lost in the trees for some strange reason. Now, I'm not sure if it's because that watch has been sitting in basically in a drawer for the last 5-6 months, but in any case, it seemed to struggle there briefly before kind of getting back on track and being more or less fine the rest of the run. So I'm not quite sure what went on there, but at least that's good for the 225 anyways. Next, looking at the heart rate data, we see that here, so I'm going to minimize that. So these are the two graphs overlaid together. You can see they're relatively close here, within a couple beats at all times. You know, one might be a little bit ahead of the other, or within a beat or two, but in the grand scheme of things, you're talking very small differences here. So that's quite good up until this point. And then here is where I stopped for the traffic light the first time, and this is where I see this difference. And this orange is the older heart rate strap, and that's clearly the one in error there, because I started running again, and this strap just basically didn't respond. So the optical heart rate did quite well in the 225. We see the strap wakes back up again, and at that point they fall along reasonably closely right here for the rest of the run. So good for the 225, the heart rate strap. Maybe I need to swap the battery out, or maybe it's just having a bad day. In any case, it's kind of what you tend to see sometimes with chest straps versus optical, is that a lot of times you'll go ahead and get that little bit more accurate data, especially once you get into the run. So there you go. That's a quick look at things on the first run there. Keep tuned over the next month or so as I go ahead and dig into the watch a bit more. Thanks for watching.